A soldier is fighting for his life after being knifed up to a dozen times just yards from a busy army base. The uniformed squaddie in his 40s was out on this residential street behind me in Chatham in Kent when he was knifed by a man jumping from a moped and armed with two full-size kitchen knives here close to the Brompton Army Barracks just before 6 p.m. on Tuesday evening. Witnesses told The Sun that the alleged attacker carrying those two knives then attacked the man all over, leaving him with wounds on his legs, on his arms and on his chest as well. In the moments afterward, witnesses said the man took one of the knives he just used to attack the soldier and then shockingly licked it in front of onlookers who had gathered around in the aftermath of this attack. A woman is also said to have fled from one of the homes and tried to haul the man from the squaddie. That woman, believed to be the man's wife, then started literally directing traffic, ordering other soldiers in the area, any onlookers, to start administering first aid to the man and try and apply pressure to some of the many wounds all over his body. The Sun understands that the first people on the scene responding to the incident were private army security guards on an evening round of some of the area here in a very popular military area with the barracks, Brompton Barracks, just 200 metres away from here. It's also understood that GPs and doctors from the Brompton Medical Centre, which treats hundreds of the soldiers and military families that live around here, charged from the surgery down into Sallyport Gardens, where they too helped administer first aid. This morning, Kent Police said that a 24-year-old man had been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. At the scene last night, some witnesses took photos of the man who was nicked by cops. It's understood he fled on a Honda moped and was arrested a short time later after the attack happened in a nearby residential street. In the images shared by residents around here, the man is wearing a ski mask and a £100 Urban Outfitters NASA branded jacket. This morning, locals said that some of the screams that the victim let out as he was first attacked were so piercing and so loud that they actually reached some of the inside of the houses off of the street and in neighbouring streets, triggering loads of locals to come out and see really what had happened. It's understood that a dozen locals helped treat the man at the scene in conjunction with police, paramedics and some of the GPs from the nearby medical centre. This morning, condemnation of the attack has been widespread. The Home Secretary has called it horrific, and the Chief of the Defence Staff, the new head of the Army, General Sir Rowley Walker, said it was horrific and unprovoked. In a statement online, he added, "I am deeply saddened by the horrific and unprovoked attack on an officer yesterday. Our armed forces make extraordinary sacrifices to defend our nation and deserve to be respected. My thoughts and best wishes are with him and his family. They have the full support of the chain of command as they recover from this horrendous incident." That man, we understand, is still in hospital. He is still in a serious condition. Is being treated for some of the many wounds left in this horrific attack as police and everyone else seek answers as to just how and why this happened. There is also a real sense of shock, genuine shock, in this community. It's an incredibly quiet area, home to many military families, some of which are the 1,000 troops or so that are stationed at Brompton Barracks, which is home to the Royal School of Engineering, very important institution within the military. And nothing like this really has ever happened around here before. It's evoked memories, of course, of the 2013 attack on Fusilier Lee Rigby outside Woolwich Barracks in South East London. That horrific incident was terror related and was inspired by Islamism and extremist radical religious beliefs. This incident, not terror related, at least that's what the early indications are saying, according to the Home Office. And so there will be a scramble now to establish a motive and work out exactly why this horror unfolded in the way that it did in such dramatic circumstances and in a way that has left a British Army officer fighting for his life in hospital.
We didn't see the moment it happened, but we certainly heard the screaming, shouting. I walked to the corner probably a minute and a half after the incident. There was around 10 people standing around the victim. About five of us on the other side of the road. It was pandemonium. You could just see the man on the floor. We all thought that he'd perhaps passed away immediately because he wasn't moving, but I think perhaps they told the guy to stay still with all the multiple wounds that he had. But no, from where we stood, we couldn't see any blood. You know, there's a security team that go around this area. They were quick to the scene. Obviously, there were army colleagues there. Yeah, there were probably about 8 or 9 of them on the floor with the victim, just holding him down, telling him not to move. Yeah, I think the paramedics were there a good probably 12, 13 minutes after the incident, so relatively quickly.
All personnel are to proceed to the nearest public building. Once in the building, you are not to leave for any reason until authorised at the end of the operation. All personnel in or entering a building are to have their identity checked. Any personnel that cannot confirm their identity are to be held and the guardroom informed. I say again,
utterly ghastly. Those who would lay down their lives for our democracy, to protect our freedoms and everything that we enjoy, should be respected and admired by this nation and not be subject to such brutal attacks. Well, police officers are the first on scene of a case like this, immediately focus on protecting life. So it is the rendering of first aid to anybody who's been harmed in such an incident. But they have quite a careful line to tread because, of course, as well as looking to preserve life, they also need to be very mindful that they are probably in a crime scene that could give up vital evidence, vital forensic evidence, for example. So even though the first thought is preserve life if you possibly can, it is also maintain an awareness of your environment and think crime scene as well. I'm sure the wonderful British military has already sent directives to all its staff, to all its soldiers, seamen, airmen and women, telling them to take extra precautions, to be very aware of wearing uniform in public. And it is so utterly appalling that those who would protect us and lay down their lives for us now are going to have to take, once again, extra precautions, because it would appear there are knife-wielding savage maniacs who would seek to do some of them harm. We always hear about reassurance patrols and an added police presence whenever there is a serious crime. Sadly, of course, those patrols are often too late. Who can say what crimes could be prevented if we had police officers regularly patrolling the streets as a very visible deterrent? But yes, the fear now would be of copycat attacks on members of our military.